Greetings, BUSN 1360, Software Apps for Business Students. Today, we're going to tackle Word Chapter 3 Grader, and hopefully we earn that perfect 100%. That's the goal. So we're jumping in, we're going to get started. I've already gone to my IT lab. I've opened my course materials Chapter 3 folder. I've actually taken the liberty of opening my ebook, and I have that readily available to me in this other window. Gone ahead and navigated to the Chapter 3 folder, and just always making sure that I understand, what objectives are here, so that if I need help, I can go quickly to those for typed instructions. And then don't forget, you have these hands-on exercises that include videos. Doesn't mean that you have to do the hands-on exercise. You've really done a lot of it through the simulation, and now you're doing it in the grader. But if you're stuck, this can help. Those videos can help. So I'm keeping that readily available. Also, just as a reminder, you want to do the quiz, these multiple choice quiz questions. Don't forget, sometimes I post student grades and I see that you just didn't get that 100. And take a couple extra minutes because you can repeat it. There's no penalty, and it's a learning opportunity. And I want to show you that I made my perfect score as my second submission, and I just bombed the third submission. My goal was to make a 0, and I accidentally answered a couple correctly. And what I see when I go back to course materials is not that 40, which was my most recent score. What I see is the perfect score, the 100. Now, similarly, in pause, when I post your real score into the course management system, I'm going to post the highest score. That's in your syllabus, so you have that. You have that in writing. It's in your syllabus. Okay, so get those 100s. Make sure you're out there getting those. I have already clicked on the grader, and I've opened that up into a new window, and I've downloaded my course materials. As I emphasized in the last video, very, very important to know where you're keeping your files. Maybe you keep them in the downloads folder on your computer, but still you need to organize them. It gets more important the more chapters we cover, right? We have one more chapter of Word, then we're going to have Excel files, and then we're going to have PowerPoint and PowerPoint files, so keep that organized. I have my Word Chapter 3 folder. If I open that, I can see the contents of it. If you're not familiar with this, if your screen doesn't look like mine, what you can do, you're probably on the Home tab, that's fine. Click on View, and you can look at that. I just hovered over. If you can click on extra large icons, large icons, that's great if you're working with pictures. It lets you see the picture. You can, all kinds of icons. You can look at the files in a list. That can be very handy if you have a lot of files. This is just my personal preference, I tend to list them in this details view because it allows me to quickly see the date modified, to see how big the file is. I mean, obviously some numbers are much bigger than others, right? You might want to notice these are K for kilo, 1,000, kilos 1,000. M is bigger than K, that's megabytes. G is bigger than that. G is gigabytes. You say, oh, gee, that's a big file, right? So you can keep an eye on those things, but most important is that you know the names of the files that you're working with, so that when it's time to submit, you submit the correct file. So for example, this one is the instructions. Why? Because it says instructions in the file name. Isn't that nice, rather than QRQB270-? What does that mean? Make sure you name your files something that's relevant. Here they're named for you, but in the real world you make sure you use a good name. I've already opened the instruction file. I have that open here. Okay, how many? We've got 14 instructions today, so we'll work through those. And let's see, I need to open what I'm going to call my work file, my work product, what I'm going to submit. Now that file will always begin with your last name. In my example, my pretend student is Betty Baker. Why not? I don't know. So Baker in this example is my pretend last name, and so you can see that that's at the beginning of my file, and I can just double click it to open it, or select it and hit enter, however you want to do it. So this is the file. This is what it looks like to begin with. Okay, so let's make sure. Okay, so I'm going to go to my instructions and let's jump in and get started. We've already done step 1. We've started Word, we downloaded, we did that. And notice that it even says it's automatically added your last name to the beginning of the file. So it's always been telling you that. Step number 2. Now, I also have printed my instructions. I'm lucky enough to have a printer and some paper and toner, and I realize that that's a blessing, and I'm thankful for that. And it helps me as I'm talking to you to try to stay on track. So I'll be referencing that, but it's the same. It says that non-printing characters are displayed, that at the second paragraph, second blank paragraph that follows the document logo, we're going to insert a 2x1 table. We're going to type some things into that table and do some formatting. Okay, so you have your instructions. Let's follow that. Let's go to our document. Here it is, fresh. And remember, these are paragraphs. You may not think a blank line is a paragraph, but just like these are paragraphs, that's a paragraph mark. That's what this, and it said ensure the non-printing characters are displayed. They are. I like to have, let me pin my ribbon so that it's displayed also. It says go to the second line here, and on the second blank paragraph that follows the document logo, insert a 2x1 table. So what do we mean by that? Well, we click Insert, Table, and 2, and look at the numbers up there. That's 1x1, now 2. So 2 columns, 1 row, 2x1, columns by rows. Click that. There it is right there. Type Meal Planning Series. Then I'm going to tab to get over to the next column. I just hit the tab key on my keyboard. Can you lift up and go to your mouse and come back? Yes, but it wastes time and it's less accurate because when I move my hand back to the keyboard, I may not get on home row. So in order to be more accurate, I just want to hit my tab key without lifting up my hands. And in that second cell, it says to type volume 24 and then to right, oops, I put a space, and then to right align it. So on my home tab, I am going to click on right align. So this is to the left over here, meal planning series, and this is to the right. And you can see it shows it there, and if I click here, it shows that that's left align. Now, whenever I do something that I think is accurate, oh, I'm not done yet, but I am going to save because I think I've kind of done that. There was more to that step. Right align it. It says format all the text in the table as italics with a font size of 10. So all I have to do is select, oops, I'm going to tell you because I think this is going to plague me a little bit. I'm having a little trouble selecting. I feel like my computer is freezing just a little. It may be because of the recording software that I'm running. So every once in a while I'm going to need just a moment while my computer catches up. There we go. I've got my cursor. I've clicked before the M in meal because of course my dragging with my computer is having a little difficulty. I'm going to hold my shift key down. And I'm just going to come over here after the 24 and click. So I had my starting point. I clicked there. I held my shift key down and I clicked my ending point. It selects everything between, and they simply wanted me to italicize that. And that was the last format. All text in the table is italics with a font size of 10 points. So I'm going to click up here where my font size is. I'm going to type 10 and I'm going to press my enter key to make sure that that sets. Look at that. Very nice. Save. Back to the instructions. So here we are on step 3. Adjust the column, adjust the width of both columns in the table to 2 inches. Then center the table horizontally on the page, and then shade the table with green accent 6, lighter 60%. Okay. Let's go back. I'm going to select the table. Now I'm going to select it by clicking that what would you call that, four-sided arrow there. And with my mouse still on top of that four-sided arrow, I'm going to right click. And what I should get, you saw my computer pause there for a moment, is I should get table properties, and I'm going to click that. Now, when I say right click, it's right click. Any other click is left. That's true universally. If somebody in Pago Pago tells you to click, they mean your left mouse key. Now, if you are using your mouse with your left hand, you know to invert that, right? Basically what we mean is pointer finger versus right click, which is with your third finger. Okay, if you are moving your fingers, you're picking your fingers up and moving, you're struggling, and I know that because you have to keep looking. You have to keep looking. Are my fingers in the right place? Are my fingers in the right place? You don't ever need to do that because you're going to do your peace sign, and click is your pointer. Click. Right? Maybe you remember it that way. And the third finger is right, and you just don't use that one, right? Unless you need to right click, and then you hit down with that. You press down with that, and you always know where it's at because it's always on that right mouse button. Okay, so enough about that. I'm a big right clicker, that's why I explained that. Right clicking always does the same thing. Did you know that? Always does the same thing. Don't care what you're doing, it always does the same thing. It produces a menu. And the menu that it produces is always sensitive or relative to, applies to what you have right-clicked upon. That's another reason that I'll emphasize as we go, to keep your mouse on top of what you're trying to affect. Sometimes what happens is we click and then we right-click. And so what your menu is about is that thing over there that you right-clicked on. So you want to keep your mouse on top of what you want to affect. And then when you right click, you'll get a menu that's very particular to what you have right clicked upon. Little insider trick there for you. All right, I hope that helps. I hope it's helpful. Back to the instructions. Step number 3 said adjust the width of both columns in the table to 2 inches. So we selected our table, we right clicked on this little table selector thing. We right clicked, right? It brought up this table properties. It might have been on this tab. If so, that's fine. You can just simply change. You see you have row, column, cell, and even alternative text. I'm in the column, and it says preferred width, and I'm going to change that preferred width to 2 inches flat. And I hit enter. Maybe I should not have hit enter, but you see, can you see on my ruler up here that is exactly 2 inches? And if you're not seeing your rulers, go to view and make sure that this checkbox is clicked. Okay, there should be a little check in there. But that will display the rulers. And go back to home. Okay, so both of those are 2 inches, and I did not mean to click, to close that. So I'm going to go right back in. My mouse on top of that selector handle, right click, table properties. I set those to 2 inches, and it says center the table horizontally. Well, I'm starting now, instead of to affect the column, to affect the table. Here's the alignment, and I can click on center. And so you see I've got center table horizontally on the page. And then it wants me to shade. So do you see down here there's a button that says borders and shading? I'm going to click that. And you might be on borders, you might be on page border, it just depends. Click on shading, and for the color, click the button. Now it said green, so I'm going to go over here to green, and this very first one confirms that that's green accent 6, but it also wants lighter 60. So that's 80, and that next one is 60. So I'm going to click that, and OK. And then I can OK again. And I'm going to click away. And so I see that nice shading there. And I'm going to save that. Looks good. On to step 4. Should I make that bigger? Let me make that bigger. On step 4, it says select the text at the end of the page, beginning with citrus salmon whole grain rice bowl and ending with 490. Whether you select the paragraph mark that follows 490 is irrelevant. That's good to know. Convert the selected text to a table, accepting all defaults in the dialog boxes. All right, let's go back. I need to get to the end. This is a short document. I just scrolled down. I'm going to click before citrus. Me personally, I noticed in the simulation that the instructions would say drag to select, and because I do not normally drag, I tested the simulation and I clicked, and then I did my thing of holding the shift key down and clicking at the end, and it would not acknowledge that. So if you are directly instructed to drag, then you must drag to select. But in our case I'm not, and I find it very I'm not instructed to drag to select. It doesn't care how I select, and I find it to be very precise to click before the starting point, to hold my shift key down, and to click, they said, after the 490, and they said don't worry about the paragraph mark. Then I can let up off the shift key. So now that that's selected, I can look at it, and they want me to convert it to a table. You might be asking, how does Word know how to make this a table? What if it puts all those first words in a column and the second words in a column? How does it know? Well, we're going to see that in just a moment. But notice that you want everything to the left of the tab character. Do you see that? In fact, let me make that clear. Do you see this tab character, these tab characters? That everything to the left of the tab you want in column 1 or column A, and everything to the right of the tab you want in column B. And so we're going to make sure Word understands that. But I wanted to point that out because you might be looking at those dots and you might be thinking that somebody got on the keyboard and went dot 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 dot, and we learned in the previous chapter not to do that. So that's not what happened here, and we can tell that. How can we tell it? Because we can't select those dots. If it was an individual, like here at the end of the sentence, then we could select it. So, see how I could select just individual things? But this is one character, this is a tab, and I can even see the tab stop up here at the top. So I know that that's a tab with a leader, and those dots are just formatting of the tab. Okay, so I wanted to point that out to you. Let me select that again. And they want us to convert that to a table, right? Step number 4. So insert table, convert text to table. Now here you can see it's already guesstimating 2 columns. How does it know? And it's telling us that it'll automatically adjust the width. And down here it's saying, what is the special character that you want me to find that determines what goes in column A, column B, column C? How do I know? And we're telling it right here, tabs. Great table, just perfect in a snap, right? Okay, so that was step 4, accepting all default. Yep, that was step 4. Click Save. Back to the instructions. On to step 5. Adjust the width of the second column to 1 inch, insert a row above the first row, and type some things and apply some formatting. Okay, so let's go back. We kind of have a general sense, right? So here we are in our table, and in step 5 it said adjust the width of the second column. So that's this one over here. Now, as I move my mouse up just ever so slightly, do you see the changing shapes? I have an I-beam, which means click to type. Sometimes you get little, that double-sided arrow means I can drag the borders to adjust the height of my cell. When I get that, it means I can click to center. That's what those little lines mean underneath. But what's important is when I get all the way up, do you see? Oh, it's just such a little spot there. I get that downward pointing arrow. I can click and I can select the entire column. And with that entire column selected, keep your mouse on top of what you want to affect, and third finger, right click, table properties. I mean, many ways to go into that, right? I'm on the Tables tab. I want to be on the columns tab, and they are telling me in step number 5 the width of the second column should be set to 1 inch. All right, and I'm going to tab out of there so that I don't accidentally close it. So you can kind of see. Let's see. That's all we want to do though, so I can go ahead and close this. Okay. See how that, I can look at my ruler. Looks about to be 1 inch. Insert a row above the first row. Okay, so now I'm going to click any place in this first row. What do I need to right click upon? The first row. Any place in this first row. Insert row above. And now that I have my row above, they want me to type in the first cell, so I need to click so that I have that flashing bar there, and they want me to type meal selection, and I'm going to tab across calories. They want me to type calories in the second column. So those are going to be my headings. What step am I on here? 5. Apply center alignment to both entries in the row. Now, word of caution on this, because this will get you. I'm going to click anywhere in this meal selection, and the great temptation on this is going to be to go to the home tab and to click center. But when I hover my mouse, I'm not clicking, I'm hovering over that center. Do you see that it says center? And my instructions actually say apply, and in capital letters, align center. So that's a name, align center, and this name is just center. If you can see it there, it just says center. If I instead go to layout, and on my layout look in the alignment group, this is what they're talking about, and this is called align top left, align center left. Do you see how they begin with the word align? And align center in this case is not simply horizontal. What we looked at before was a horizontal centering. This, it says center text horizontally and vertically. Okay, so that within, if our cell gets really big, it doesn't matter. It's going to be centered in the middle this way and in the middle that way. So that's what they're talking about. And I'm going to do that twice because I just had that one thing selected. So make sure they're both that way and save. Okay, so that was step number 5. Now let's move on to step 6. It says insert a column at the right or to the right of the second column. Insert a column to the right of the second column and type this stuff in row 1. And it's going to wrap. Okay, so let's go back, and the second column, insert a column to the right. So I'm going to click anywhere in this column. Now when I say I'm going to click, I need, you see my computer hesitating here a little bit, I need to see that flashing I-beam, the flashing cursor saying that I am, my cursor is in this column. Okay, so my cursor is flashing. I'm anywhere in this column. I'm going to keep my mouse over this column, and I'm going to right click. Remember, I want to right click on what I am affecting. And in my instructions, I'm on step 6 here, it says I'm going to insert a column to the right of the second column. So to the right, and there it is. And it says up here, to type remaining calorie count in row 1. It says the text will wrap, and it did, and that's fine. I'm going to save. And I think we just completed step 6. On to step 7. Yeah, we did that. Okay, so step 7 says click in the third column on the second row. Okay, below what we just typed, that remaining calorie count, and include a formula, oh my goodness, to subtract calories from 1200. You do not need to select a number format, and then repeat the formula down the column, adjusting the cell reference to each row. Okay, let's get into formulas. Okay. My computer has paused again for just a moment, and that's okay. Let's use this opportunity to go to our book for just a moment. It'll give my computer a moment to catch up. Remember, I had already opened my book and I'm in chapter 3. And whenever you start on the first page of the chapter, what you'll see is the objectives, how to insert a table, and it tells you this is what's covered here. It helps you find what you need, right? Modifying tables and formatting, that kind of thing. Under advanced table features, you'll notice that it starts to talk about table formulas and functions, using a formula, using a function. And this is really important because it begins our segue into Excel. Now, we still have one more chapter to go in Word, but it begins our transition, right? Because Excel is all about tables. And actually, students like it because it's a little more structured than Word documents. So I'm going to click this Managing Table Data. Now that I'm on here, let's start to scroll down a little bit. Really nice example of, a fair amount of data. Okay. How to calculate, it's talking about what is a formula. Need to be familiar with that. And then we get to this picture. Let's look at this. Here's what I want you to see. In our instructions so far, they've been referring to the columns as column 1, column 2, column 3. I don't want you to use that reference. Don't think 1, 2, 3 across. Instead, I want you to think column A, column B, column C, column D. Because if you look at this picture, this column with names is what would be A, this would be B, this would be C, and you see the red line and they're pointing to this 1850 right here. And the first thing they're referring to here is the letter D, and what that means is column D. If I go to the next column, you can see they've got the red line pointing to that, and what they mean here is column E. Go over a little bit further, what they mean is column F. A, B, C, D, E, F. And from this, you can probably guess where they're getting 2 from. This is row 1, and this is row 2. So you don't ever have to worry about, I don't know, column 22, row 22, nothing like that. The columns are always going to be letters. The rows are numbers. Now, how does that help us? Well, let's look a little. I love this picture. It's very descriptive. They have entered a formula here, and the first thing I want you to notice is that the formula begins with an equal sign. The rhythmic thing to repeat in your head anytime you go into formulas, and we're going to say this in Excel as well, all formulas begin with an equal sign. There's only one equal sign. Don't have 7 equal signs, only one equal sign, always at the beginning. Why? Because it tells Word and Excel, hey, turn on the calculator. So just remember this. Anytime you need the calculator, you need to hit the equal sign. That's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. You do not have to do high-level math. The whole thing, you want to turn on the calculator, hit the equal sign. That's it. It's on. Now, could you type in the number 1850? Sure, you could. But what if that number changes? Then you would have to remember, don't forget, I've got to change the formula. I need to go into my adding machine and I need to run the tape again because one little number changed. We want the computer to do that for us. And it will if we use relative references rather than the numbers. What is a relative reference? It's this right here. Don't call this 1850. Call this A, B, C, D, 1, 2. Call this D2. And whatever value happens to be in D2, that's the starting value. And whatever value happens to be in E2, that's what we're going to subtract, even if it changes. I mean, just imagine if this person spent, instead of $1,200, what if they spent $1,500, $2,000? Right then we'd be in the negative. We need to know, and we want it to update for us automatically. We don't want to have to remember to go back in and type. That's too much adding machine work. Let the computer do it. How do we let the computer do it? Use these relative references, E2, D2. Let it do it for us. Okay, so I wanted to show you that picture. Of course, they have a hint. Okay, that's just some formatting stuff. Great information here. I'm not going to go through all that. You can certainly do it. They're just using some formulas there. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to leave that open. Let me go back to my instructions. Remember, my computer was thinking for a moment, and I was kind of stalling while it was thinking, because it said click in the third column on the second row underneath this remaining calorie count, and it looks like we're going to calculate the calorie count, and we need a formula to subtract $1,200. Okay, sorry, 1,200 calories. No special formatting. Repeat the formula down the column, adjusting the cell reference for each row. Okay, here we go. I don't have my flashing cursor, which would really make me feel better, but it seems to be responding. So I have clicked. What cell is that? A, B, C, 1, 2. I have clicked in cell C2, and I want to insert a formula. So I'm on my Layout tab, and I'm going to click Formula. Now, it's guessing. What do you want me to do? Sum up this stuff over here to the left? Not this time. Thanks, Word. Not this time. Delete, delete, delete. But what do we need? All formulas start with an equal sign. So if you deleted the equal sign, just type it right back, okay? Because all formulas start with an equal sign. Now, it said that we need to start with 1,200 calories. So 1200. No commas. Don't type the commas. What are we doing? We're going to subtract. Now, I could certainly type 550. Sure. But what if the calories change? What if the recipe changes? We want the computer to update this automatically. So instead of typing 550, I'm going to use the relative reference. I'm going to use the name of that cell. And that cell is AB. It's going to be B, row 2. Now, it said don't apply any special number formatting. Don't worry about any of the rest of this, and click OK. It's a little odd to me that it's showing the actual formula. I would expect it to show the result of the formula. But what I want you to see is this. If I go to File and Print, and I'm in essence previewing it, can you see that? I realize it's down here kind of low. Do you see how it's 1,200 minus 550, and you can check me on the math, is 650? So it is going to print it correctly. It's going to evaluate it. Oops. It's going to evaluate it correctly. Okay? I want you to be comfortable with that. Now, those little bracket things there are telling us that it is a formula. You'll notice if I click in the middle of 550, nothing is selected, nothing is in purple. My mouse is just sitting there saying, do you want to type something? If I click over here, normally it's going to select that, and I think what it believes is that I am in an editing mode, that I'm ready to edit that formula. See if I can check. Okay, that I'm going to edit that formula, and perhaps I am, because what they told me in the instructions, and again I am on step 7, is that I need to copy this to each subscript. I'm going to do the same thing in this cell, and this cell, and this cell. So I'm going to right click on that. It's not going to let me right click. Okay. Well, I'm having some technical difficulties here, folks. I apologize. I'm working at home. I'm on my home computer, so bear with me. It's not perfect. I'm clicking now in the next row down, and I'm going to click the formula button again. Let's see if we do a little better. Now, it's guessing this time. Do you want me to add up that stuff above? No. Delete, delete, delete. 1200 minus AB, but this time row 3, so B3. You can type capital B or lowercase b, it doesn't matter. I'll make it capital just so you can see that. I guess I could do a number. They said that not to format the numbers, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to click OK. Okay, so you kind of see. I'm going to do that again. I guess I could copy, but let's just walk through it again. And again, I don't need anything except the equal sign. Remember, all formulas start with an equal sign. The formula here is 1200 minus basically the 515, which is column B. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? B4. I'm kind of curious if that number format would help it. You think that would make it display? Now, it just added extra coding in there, and I'm going to take that out because the grader's probably going to get me on that. Let me delete it. I'll do it again. All formulas start with an equal sign. 1200 calories minus B4. Okay. And one more. $1,200 minus B5. And okay. Now, I am going to tell you one thing. Some of you may already be working with Excel on your job. Some of you have no knowledge of Excel, and that's okay. One of the reasons I struggle with this a little bit, and I'll be honest with you, is because when you are doing a lot of calculations, then you're not going to do them in Word, and you're probably going to use Excel. Even if you're only doing a few of those calculations, what you're going to find once you get introduced to Excel is that it would be much easier to have those calculations in Excel, which that's Excel's job, is to do the math. It's like a big old adding machine. And then you can just copy and paste it from Excel into Word, and it really is a lot easier. Don't be discouraged, though. Sometimes it's nice to have very quick, handy references like this. But the reason I explain all this is because what the focus is when you are learning skills in Word, in Excel, in PowerPoint is not so much how do I get it done right this minute. It's the long haul. It's the maintenance, because that's why we're not just typing in a value right here, is because we want this form to maintain itself. If the calories change, we don't want to have to come back in here and recalculate. We want the computer to do it for us. And that maintenance is what's important here. So maintaining calculations like this in Excel, you're going to find is so much easier. And I would copy and paste it from Excel into Word. So I apologize, I'm struggling just a little bit. Hopefully maybe there's a little camaraderie. You might be struggling as well. But I want you to know there's good things coming. There's even better things coming that you will like. But that's okay. This is a field, and if you remember kind of the quick parts fields that we dealt with, and when I go to print this, for example, it's not going to display those fields. We've already seen, and I'm going to save this, we've already seen that if we go to File and then Print, because we're going to preview it, and again I'm going to zoom in, oops, goodness, way too big. You can see how it's going to print very nicely. Okay, it's going to do the math for us. Let me go back. Okay, so here we are, and that was step 7, and we repeated that formula all the way down, and we're good there. So on to step number 8. Oops, that's not the step number 8. Here we are. So we're going to insert a column to the left of, I'm sorry, did I just realize something? No, okay, I'm sorry. Thought about something for a minute. That's not. Insert a column to the left of the first column and adjust the column width to the new column, and then we're going to merge the cells. That's going to be interesting. And we're going to type the word fresh. And the reason I'm kind of mentally pausing here is because we just called that B2 and B3 and B4. What is going to happen when we insert a column to the left of column 1? Well, we won't be in Kansas anymore. This will not be column B anymore. This would change to column C. So let's see what happens. Our instructions say, step number 8, insert a column to the left of the first column. So I'm just going to click anywhere in this column. I'm going to right click upon what I want affected, which is this column, and I'm going to insert a column to the left. And there it did it. And step 8, and we're going to adjust the width of the column. So I'm going to keep my mouse on this column. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to Table Properties and make sure you're on the Column tab. If you're not, just click on it. And I'm going to type 1 inch, and that's all I'm going to do right there. So I'm going to click OK. And sure enough, I can look at my ruler. Looks like it's 1 inch. And it says, now I got to make sure, look how I accidentally have a bunch of stuff selected now. So I got to be careful. I want only this column selected. And do you see how it's selected straight down? Many ways to select, as we've talked about. And I'm going to merge those cells. So I'm on my layout ribbon and look for merge. Here it is right here. And you see those divider lines went away, and this is now one big cell. So I'm already kind of in the cell. Let me just click so I can type. And they said to type in all capital letters fresh exclamation point in that merged cell. And that's fine, but it doesn't look nearly as good. They're going to have us what? They're going to have us rotate this. So still on the layout tab, see where it says text direction? Now watch my text. I'm going to click this one time and it flipped there. That's awkward. We don't do that. We do this. So I'm going to click it again. And there it is, right? So fresh, and these are all the things that are fresh in that table, right? You know, on our menu, for example, or in our meal selection. Okay, type fresh in the merge cell, click the text direction, layout to rotate so it's attractive. Click Align Center. Now again, not just center, we want it horizontally and vertically centered. And these have rotated to reflect the perspective of our text, but Align Center is still in the middle. And there you go. Align Center. Change the font size to 26. So now I do need to go to the Home tab, click 26, and I'm going to just hit Enter. Big. Looks good. Save. So everything here is fresh, and this is the calories, and it's fresh. Alright, on to, did I save that? Let's save. Step 9. Let's go back to the instructions. Modify all formulas in the last column to adjust the newly inserted column. You should change the letter, for example, in each formula from B to C. Note that the formula will change, but the results remain the same. Okay, so what does that mean? The formula, but the results remain the same. Change the calorie count for barbecue chicken pizza. Okay, so we already have some updates to 550. Update the formula field in the next cell to reflect the new amount for the calories remaining. Okay, one thing at a time. Let's go back to our document. Now, it still says B, and what is B2? Well, this is A, this is B, and so it's going to say 1200 subtract citrus? What? I can't even imagine what the computer is going to do. Let's just look. File, print. Well, it looks like it's actually still showing the numbers. I'm kind of surprised. If we update, the thing about Word is when there's been a change, it does not automatically update. For example, right now, barbecue chicken pizza is 515 calories. And previously, it calculated that. When we first asked it to calculate, it calculated. And do you see this? It came up with 685. Well, if I now change this, which I know I'm going to have to do anyway, that's part of our instructions, to 550, why didn't it update this? This still says 685, but this is a lot more calories now. So 1200 minus 550, I mean, you can just look at the last digit is not 685, right? So it has not recalculated. In fact, if I right click on any of those calculated fields, I'll see this update field. Okay, so I just updated the field. Now let's see. It's completely bonkers right now. It does not know what to do. It said, I tried to recalculate that, and I just don't even know how to subtract barbecue chicken from 1200, so I'm just going to say 1200. It went kind of crazy. Because it's kind of a mess. We can't trust. These are unreliable numbers because we can't really trust. So this is C now. You see how Excel's going to make this so much better. I'm sorry, but you just kind of have to bear with me here. I'm going to change that to C. I can just type in here. And again, you see I'm clicking and I'm typing and I'm just changing as they instructed us from B to C. Okay, now I've already changed this 550, it was 15 to 550. I hope I didn't confuse you. I apologize. This is our end result. File, oh, I'm sorry. Let's update. Update field. You have to force the update. It does not happen automatically. It does it for the whole table. Oh, I'm sorry. It did it just for the field. I'm not doing it for. Okay, I'm sorry. It did it just for the individual field. And let's now go back. Okay. Do I believe that? I think I believe that a little bit more. That 1200 minus 550 does in fact equal 650. There shouldn't be any kind of 5 at the end, right? So 650. So now I know my calculations are correct. Let's save that. Okay, more to do, more to do. Let's keep going with these instructions. We just did this step. We modified all the formulas in the last column. We changed the letter from B to C. We noted that the formula will change, but the results remained the same until we did the update, right? And then we changed the calorie count. It said update the formula field in the next cell to reflect the new amounts. Okay, so we did that. Now, here we are in step 10. Only 14 steps, recall, so we're just moving right along. It says apply a table style of grid table 5 dark accent row. And it kind of tells us where to find it. So let's do that before we even get any further on step 10. I'm going to select my table. And what's that under? Table design? I think so, because here's our table styles. And I'm going to click. You saw I clicked to expand. See that? Click to expand, and they want grid tables. So see the category here, grid tables. Dark or grid table 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try that one. That's light accent 4. They want. Okay, so I came down 5, and that's grid table 5 dark. They want accent 6. So under grid tables, I'm in the 5th row and I'm all the way to the end to the green one where it says accent 6. So I clicked that. Okay, and see that nice formatting? I get questions a lot of times. If I submit something, somebody will say, you sure did invest a lot of time making every other row a different color. No, I didn't. It took me 2 seconds. And you saw how I did it. Don't tell anybody. They have to take the class. I'm teasing. Okay. Tell everybody, look super smart. That's what we want you to do. Go out there and be super, super smart. Okay, so we have the rows, we have the columns, they have the nice formatting. What else? Let's see. Select text in row 1, but not the merged cell. From meal selection to the end of count in remaining calorie count. Because what our instructions are saying is select the text in row 1, but not the merge cell, and choose align center alignment. So that would be layout, and that would be this align center. Okay, I apologize. It was apparently selected. It's just the shading was not showing up. Little computer glitch on my part. I apologize. Right, but you know how to select. Save. Apply align center alignment to all numbers in the last two columns. So once again, I'm going to select, and it says the numbers only in the last two columns, and align center. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And because I completely understand that this is difficult to look at, I'm going to show you what you are probably seeing on your screen, and I just don't know why mine is not. See how that's aligned center? Both of those are aligned. You'll notice that they're all the same order of magnitude. One is not a million and another one $1, right? That would get awkward with a center alignment. But if they're all in the hundreds, then it looks good, and there's no sense. One's not in 0.1 and another one 0.02. It's just very nice numbers, and so it works this way. It may not be the alignment we would use in every situation, but it works in this sense. Okay, that was step 10. Center the table on the page horizontally. So got to make sure that you are not clicked inside of anything, because I don't want to center that text within the cell. I want to center the whole big old table. So remember, this is the table selector, so I'm clicking on that to select, and in this case I'm only centering horizontally, and so goodness, and notice how strange it is. Look at how here's my paragraph, and this is where I center, and it looks bizarre because this first column is turned, so the menu is turning to try to accommodate that. But I'm going to go ahead and click on center. Notice that one says middle align, and it's moving it across. So you just have to have a little confidence that that's where you center. Okay, if not, what could you do? You could go to that table selector. You could right click on the table selector. You could go to table properties. Make sure you are on the table tab, and you could pick center that way. So two different ways to do that. Okay, it is centered. You can see that my table is centered. I'm going to save. And okay, so step 11, center the table on the page horizontally. We did that. And select the first column. Okay, so anywhere in this first column selects the entire first column. Select the first double line style shown. Click the line style drop down arrow, not border styles. So let's see, they're telling us that we need to go, let's see, is it under table design? Yeah, we need to go to table design and double line border. So here's our border styles, and double line, first double line shown. So this is the first double line shown. Line weight of 1/2 point, and that's what it's telling me. Select a pen color of green. So I think I want green all the way over here. Apply the border selection to all borders of the selected column. Well, currently, where did it apply it? I really cannot see it, to tell you the truth, but I know here's my borders. Okay, and see here where it says pen color? And here it says border, and it looks like only the bottom border may have been applied, so I'm going to make sure that I choose all borders. Now, this may be very difficult to see. I'm going to zoom in. How am I doing this? I'm holding Control, and I'm scrolling with the wheel on my mouse. And I'm going to click deliberately someplace away so that I can more easily see. Do you see the double border? It may be difficult to see on the video, but there's a double border going all the way around fresh. Select the first column. Select the first double line style and a line weight of 1/2 point. Select the green pen color, which we have, green accent 6. Apply the border selection to all borders of the selected column. And so that's what we have there. All borders of that selected column. Okay? Save that. Turn the page. Moving right along. Couple steps left. We're on step number 12. Place the insertion point at the end of the document after download the Fresh app from your friend's at. So we're placing it there. If you remember how to get to the very end, you can control home. Oops, I'm sorry, control end, and that will take you to make sure you're at the end. Press spacebar. Click the Mailings tab, and let's see, and begin a mail merge, choosing to create letters. So start our mail merge. We're going to create letters, okay, and selecting recipients from an existing list. So select recipients, use an existing list. And it says you will use the Access database from Fresh Apps. So I need to remember where I put that, and I put it on my flash drive in my case, and in my Word 3 folder. And the Access database, again, if it depends on how you have this displayed, but it should say Microsoft Access in the little red, that A for Access, Fresh Apps Contacts, Open. Okay, so I've selected that existing database. I'm sorry. Press the insertion point, click the Mailings tab, choosing Create Letters, selecting recipients from an existing database. You will use the Access database. Note for Mac users, make sure you're looking at that if you're a Mac user. Then edit the recipient list and sort by grocery name in ascending order. So I'm going to edit, see edit right here. Edit, and here's my sort button, and they want me to sort by grocery name in ascending order. Need to double check that. Looks good. Okay, changed a little bit, and it looks like I got 3 of them here. On to step 13. Okay, click OK. We're going to close that up. On to step 13. Insert a merge field of grocery name. So I need to insert merge field grocery name. Now, that's what it is supposed to look like. I'm not as shocked at this as I am on the table, because we're in this editing mode and we're saying here's the field. Okay, here's the field that you're going to insert, and those fields have those little, I call them grace brackets on either side, and if I click, notice it selects the whole thing because it's saying this is a field. Preview the results. Still in step 13. Preview that we inserted the grocery name, preview the results, and finish the merge of all records. Okay, we see the field, and I'm on the mailings ribbon, and along the top, notice that it says I'm on record 1. And if I were to change records 2 and 3, we only had 3, I just keep seeing the field name. But what if I preview the results? I preview. Work with me, people. I'm sorry. What should happen, let me go back, is I should be able to click on preview results, and you should see the grocery store name. You really should. I'm going to say I'm having some computer issues here, and I really apologize. I was able to turn off that constant interruption of my computer saying there's a problem, and I think it's telling me right now there's a problem. I've just suppressed that. So I do apologize, but what you should be seeing there, what you should be seeing when you click that button, preview results, what you should be seeing is actually the grocery name. So I'm just going to see if I were to preview this. Okay, see how when I'm in print preview it says associated grocers? Notice also I have more than one page, and that's, well, it's for this particular document. So it's showing, it's because I'm showing that for record number 1. If I advance to record number 2 and I click File and Print Preview again, then you can see it says B&B. I should not have to go through this extra step of print preview. By clicking preview results, that should be all that is needed. I apologize. Hopefully I'm still giving you the instruction that you need. So let's go a little bit further. We're almost done. Preview the results and finish the merge of all records. Select and copy all text in the new document. I'm surprised they're leaving this as a separate page. It's probably because this is wrapping. That's probably why I have a two-page document. Your document should be one page. Again, I think it's because my formula is displaying rather than the finished results. Or else I missed a step. So I would think this is going to be a one-page document. You would never leave this hanging out like this. Get that up there where it's just a one-page document, right? Okay, so what did they tell us to do again? Preview the results and finish the merge of all records. So let's finish the merge of all records. That's on our mailing tab. Finish the merge of all. We're going to edit individual documents and all records. Now I want you to notice something, how it changed this. We have two documents now. We have the Baker one, and we have this new document that was created, letters. And this new document is the merge. And as I scroll down, notice that it says now Associated Grocers, that was our first record, and look at how many pages you have. You have 6 pages. Hopefully you have 3 pages, because we had 3 records, and each one now has their own document. Here's B&B, and here's Grand River. And I have a feeling I'm going to get in lots of trouble because I have a 6-page document, which I should not have. It says select and copy all the text in the new document. So how can we do that? I wonder if you remember. Okay, Control A. Do you remember Control A? It selects absolutely everything. Control All, Control A selects everything in the document. So now Control A has selected everything. You could Control C to copy, or you can just simply click copy. And I've copied all the text in the document. It said display the original document. Notice I'm in letters right now. Go back to the original document. Move to the end of the document. How do you get to the end of the document? Control End. Insert a page break. How do you insert a page break? Okay, a couple ways. You could go to Layout and you could insert a page break, or if you know the keyboard command, it's Control Enter. And how do I know that? Turn on my Reveal Codes. Control Enter. See the page break? Control Enter is your keyboard command. So that put me here, and what are they having us do? Since we're only going to submit this one file, they are having us take the results of our mail merge and insert it into the mail merge field. So move to the end of the document and insert a page break, paste the copied text, resulting in total to a 6-page document. So, okay. Now you see that I have a 9-page document, and again I would tell you that I have something wrong in my original source document. I don't know if it's this wrapped here, if I have a font size that is messed up. Maybe when I submit it to the grader, maybe the grader will help me figure that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. And always close it. Never try to keep it open when you submit to the grader. Close it up. You've got to close it up. I'm even going to close letters. No sense in keeping that. I don't think I need to save that, do I? I don't think so. Let me close that up because I probably would have to start over. And remember, I have this already out here on my flash drive in my Word 3 folder. Now, I'm going to go to my browser. I already have the grader opened. I'm going to choose my file, and let's go to the proper folder. Let's verify it's the folder with our last name, my pretend Betty Baker. Let's verify the chapter. It's chapter 3. I've got the correct file. Let's click on Open. I'm going to upload. Well, I got a 97. Better than I thought. I really would like to know what I missed there. Let's view my submissions. And here it is. And if you're not doing this part, folks, you're missing out on points. I've actually gotten some emails that said, what did I do wrong? It took off points and I don't know why. And I really need you to come back and look at this. Oh, well, it says I adjust the width of both columns in the table to 2 inches. Center the table horizontally on the page, and shading. So what did I do wrong? Very specifically for the table meal planning series, volume 24, the alignment. Oh, did I forget to center the actual table? Okay. Now, this is going to be the tricky part, because remember that our final document, this is it, for me, Betty Baker. Okay, this is very normal. I'm so glad we're doing this. This is very normal. Here's what it's saying. It's saying this document is not a standalone document anymore. It draws data from that Access database, and that's scary, because what if it caused some kind of harm to happen? What if it caused something to launch and letters to go out everywhere or something? It's not. It's just letting you know. Do you still want to draw from that file? Yes, I do. And sure enough, this table right here, I was supposed to center it, and I didn't. And it knows that. Now, here's the problem. That means that it is not centered on every subsequent one. That's why you would never combine these things. Now, I could just delete everything and redo the merge and copy and paste the results back in there, but it was only, what, 3? It's not that much. So I'm just going to do it. You're asking yourself, why didn't it take off for me having 9 pages? I don't think I really do. I think let's just look under print preview. Well, no, I really do. Oops. There's something off in the display, with those numbers versus the formula. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I'm going to save that. And let me go back. And what do we want to do? Well, I fixed that one error. And I don't know, it might get very upset with me. Now that I have fixed that one error, it may say, I see those other errors now. And that's okay. We'll see what we can do. Make sure I get the right one with my last name, my pretend last name, Betty Baker. Wait for success. Submit. I don't know why that close button only works every once in a while. Remember that's my second attempt, so I know that's not exactly accurate. I think I refreshed just to give it just a moment of time, because really what I want to do is view my submission. Hey, look at that. I am so glad. I thought I was once again going to have to change my sign to something less than 100%, which I never want to do. Oops, that's my book. I can actually close my book now. Served me well. I've got that. I'm good to go there, and I can go back in and look at my submissions, and of course the highest grade is the only one. Now, with this, if you need to submit several more times, you certainly can, right? Don't worry about that. But I have noticed when I do this to help students understand problems, sometimes I will make a video and I will submit something. And one time I submitted a document, I think it was like 18 or 19 times, and it blew my IT lab's mind. My IT lab said, I don't know which one of these files I'm looking at anymore. And really what I think had happened is I had tried so many things in the same document. I don't think it was my IT lab. whose mind was blown. I think it was the document that became so incredibly garbled that it just could not be sorted anymore by the grader. So sometimes you have to download the document and start all over again. But in this case, we've got our 100%. We're looking good, and I'm really glad. I do apologize for whatever is happening. If you see the mistake, you can post it in the comment to the video. And my goal is I want to get this out to you quickly because I know that some of you are ready right now to begin work on Chapter 3. And that's awesome. So I appreciate you folks. Keep up the good work.